As much as we do not like to admit it, we are still seeing huge gaps from the pandemic. I know I'm not even gonna say that word again because I know we're trying to move past that, but honestly, we can't. We're seeing huge performance gaps that are the residual effect of it, and that's not okay. The reason why is because, I mean, think about it like this: you ever been buttoning up a shirt and you skip a button and then you keep going? You look wrong. Like it just looks wrong. The shirt is all, sideways and things like that. You can't just walk out the house like that. If you do, you'd immediately try to go back and change it. And it's the same thing. Students that were just kind of pushed along without ever really understanding or grasping that material, they're not just okay now that they skipped some things, right? We have to go back, rebutton, and then move forward in order for it to look okay. But the issue is, some schools and some organizations, some even districts are not being really intentional about it. They're kind of just hoping that these kids will continue to graduate on and move on and no longer be their problem soon. And that's not the right way to do it, right? So what we should do is what I like to call scaffolding. And it's not a concept that I came up with, but it's a word that I hear not a whole lot of people know. But scaffolding is meeting students where they are and then carrying to where they need to be, kind of like a scaffold. And it's really meeting students where they are, right? But carrying them where they need to be. I know I just said that, but I had to say it again because a lot of times when we think about trying to close the gap, people are really good at meeting students where they are, but they're not great at carrying them where they need to be. That's something that I see even when I'm doing classroom observations and when I'm popping into classes. Students are behind, students are low, they're not getting it. I understand 100%. I'm with you. So I get the heart in us that wants to just meet students where they are. Absolutely, that's necessary. But I also know that we have to carry students up to grade level standards. And we're not seeing that all over the place. We're seeing teachers teach down to meet students where they currently are, but not enough for carrying them up to where they need to be. And the reason why not enough of us are doing that is because we feel like we don't have the time. We don't have the time to go back and teach the skills that they missed. Come on, if I'm making sense, let me know. We don't have time to go back and teach the skills that they missed and then carrying them up to grade level standards. I get that. But let me help you with an innovative strategy that I believe can really help save you time, but also produce that scaffolding model. It's actually taken from chapter 20 in my book, 99% of Human, 1% Amazing, which you can access in the link in the description below. But it's really one innovative strategy that might be a game changer for you. I'm going to explain it to you and you let me know if this is something that would work for you. The first thing that you want to do, obviously, hold up. The only reason why I would interrupt one of my own videos is to let you know about something super valuable. The book, 99% Human, 1% Amazing, is currently free, but it's not always going to be free. So check the link in the description below real quick to see if it's still free plus shipping. If you missed it, sorry, but if you click the link in the description below and it's free plus shipping, I promise just cover shipping and I'll get the book directly out to you. When you're teaching lessons, you want to pre-assess. Pre-assess, make sure that you know what students know coming in and what students need to know. After you know what students know and what they need to know, then go ahead and teach. Teach the standard. Teach the standard that students need to understand. Whether it's a state standard, whether it's Common Core, whatever it is, make sure you're teaching the standard that students need. After you teach the standard, here's where we go, right? Because some people, what they do is they'll pre-assess, they'll teach the standard, and they teach just one lesson. And they say, this is the lesson that everybody needs to know. And what you're doing is you're hitting the people that get it, but it's over the head of some, and it's under the capability of others. So if by just teaching one lesson to just one group of students, you're missing 2/3 of the class, right? So how do we then reach everybody else? Watch this. After you teach the standards, or after you teach whatever it is you're gonna teach, which I always like to say, shouldn't be more than 15 minutes. Yeah, let's come to a pause. Let's talk about it. Don't click off. Watch this. Shouldn't be more than 15 minutes. Not your whole lesson, but I mean the teaching portion. Whether you're in elementary, middle, or high. Elementary, I'd say even less. But whether you're in elementary, middle, or high school, just a chunk of 15 minutes is all you need to present new information before going through the rest of what I'm about to share with you right here, right now. Because the brain that does the work does the learning. You standing at the front of the classroom talking for minutes and minutes to dozens of minutes to hours, just because you taught it doesn't mean they learned it. So you standing there saying it doesn't necessarily mean that it's permeating their brains and that they're retaining the information. So what makes more sense, or what we've seen to be more successful or effective, is to chunk it into smaller chunks in no more than 15-minute segments. I'm gonna give you this information in a chunk of 15 minutes before we check, reflect, and assess. And that's what the next portion is gonna be. So 15-minute segment of new information, okay? And then you are going to allow for a check. The check right here, this is the innovation I'm talking about. This is a little bit different. It's not necessarily something that everybody does. But the reason why we're gonna do a check right here is because some people got it. Right after those 15 minutes, some people got it. They're like, okay, cool, I'm good. And they're ready to go on their own. Some people, they kind of got it, but they're kind of missing some things. And then some people completely went over their head. But when you do a check right after the lesson, then it can tell you how to practice. Let me say that again. When you do the check right after the lesson, then it can tell you how to practice. And I think that is clutch and that is critical. What I see so many people do is that they'll teach the lesson and then they'll assign practice, and then they'll do an assessment, actually take it a check for understanding, something of that nature. But how do you even know what practice is appropriate? If I just teach the lesson and then I give you practice, predetermined practice. I predetermined we're gonna do this worksheet after the lesson, or I predetermined we're gonna answer these questions. How do I know that this practice is appropriate? So that's why the check is so important. If you do the check right after the lesson, then you can determine which practice is appropriate for which students. Some are gonna be able to independently practice on their own and they'll take things to the next level. Some maybe you say, all right, you work with a team, you work with a partner, you work with an elbow buddy, you work with somebody at your table, and you guys work together on going through, again, the notes that we just took, or going through the information that we just went through, so that you can then be successful on the next portion or the next activity. And then some of you, it's like, sit with me at this table as we go through it again because you completely missed it. So when I say do a lesson check, it's just a couple of questions, just assessing the standard that you just taught. Real quick, but assessing the standard that you just taught. Those who completely understood it, they can move on to the next thing. Right? Those who missed a couple or didn't quite get it, those are gonna be the people in the middle. That's like, okay, we need to kind of review before I release you to go on your own. And those who completely bomb it, or those who miss it completely, those are the ones who say, all right, we need to go back before we can go forward. Right? So that is what, that's where the innovation comes in. So instead of predetermining that after I teach this lesson, students are gonna do this activity, what would be better would be to predetermine 3 different activities. Those who are flying through it and they can do, they're ready for the next level. Those who can't fly through it, we're gonna give them a yellow light, caution, pump the brakes a little bit, but they can still go. And those who definitely don't have it, like, how are they gonna remediate? If we don't have those 3 different activities after we teach a lesson, we're missing, again, 2/3 of the class, or whatever the percentage is. It's not a perfect science, but whatever the percentage is, we're missing some students because we only have one practice activity. So with that practice activity during that phase, again, maybe it's independent, maybe it's collaborative, maybe it's working with the teacher, but whatever it is, it was predetermined and intentional that those who proved that they can do it, got it. Those who didn't, you're here. Those who completely bombed it, this is what you're working on. Then, after you allow time to practice, then you come back and that's when you do another assessment. So just to recap, pre-assessment, cool. Then you teach, 15-minute chunk. Then the majority of the class then the check, see, I almost missed it myself. Then the check, which determines how you're gonna scaffold from here, how you're gonna differentiate from here. Then the differentiation portion. That's gonna take up a big chunk of the class. Then after that, then there's that final assessment. Why? Because after students have appropriately practiced, now I wanna assess and see if they're ready to do, or if they're capable of doing grade level standard work. Most likely those who are high, they were probably already good to go on the grade level standard. Those who are there that need a little bit more work, hopefully from the check to the final assessment, they've increased through that practice phase. Hopefully they've grown to now they're able to do the grade level standard work. And hopefully those that were lower are a little bit closer. Maybe they may not be there, it's day one. It's not perfect, right? That they missed the lesson and then they sat with you at the back table, now automatically they got it. Now we're still closing gaps from years beyond, right? Years and years. But hopefully they got a little bit closer. But what that final assessment data is going to do is it's going to show you what to focus on in the next lesson. So even if it says 57% of students are not able to perform on grade level standard, okay, that shows me that tomorrow I can revisit this standard or revisit this, maybe this activity in a different way or whatever it is, right? But if it's showing us that 92% of us got it, boom, we can move on. But that is definitely an approach that I would encourage you to use. And if you're saying, oh man, I definitely can't use it, just try it. Try it. Why? That's what innovation is. Innovation is just having an idea and going with it. I've seen success with this. I have different students than you, right? You have different students than me. Maybe you try it and you say, oh man, this doesn't work for me because of blank. I fully believe that you are strong enough, that you are smart enough, that you are capable enough to make whatever tweaks necessary to make this thing work. And as a matter of fact, I would love for you to come back and say, I love what you said there, but I tweaked it a little bit and this is what worked for my students. Because I'm trying to build a community of teachers that can help each other, right? I'm not saying that this is the only thing that's gonna work. I'm saying that this is an idea that has worked for me and it's innovative, and I would love for you to take this innovation and like continue to rework it until it absolutely works for you, right? And as a matter of fact, I want you to comment down below, what are some other areas, where are some other places that you can find more innovative practices? I gave you one suggestion. Comment down below some others because I want other people to be able to see it. And again, just build this community where we're feeding off of each other and really growing and learning together. All right, so in the next video, we're gonna talk about inclusive practices to bridge the equity gap. Right? That's gonna be super interesting. So in the meantime, if you're interested, check out this video that's gonna talk more about the book, 99% Human, 1% Amazing. Again, available in the description below, and it's gonna really help teachers. It's gonna empower educators to make impactful change. I'll see you in the next one.